This is February 2024, and we're going to talk with Bill Haskell this morning, sort of a little bit of history of the Nipigon Hydro and the transition over to, was it just Ontario Hydro first?
Hydro 1.
Oh, Hydro 1.
Yeah.
Even in those days it was
Yeah.
called Hydro 1.
Yeah.
I always just say Ontario
Yeah.
Hydro. But okay, so Bill, give us a bit of background about how you started and when you started at the Hydro.
I started in 1979. I was pumping gas at the Texaco at the time. And Johnny Harper drove the bus to OPG, the dam.
Right.
That's back in them days when all the Cameron Falls boys took the bus. And he asked me if I would apply. There was a summer student job, if I was interested in applying. So I said, sure, I'll apply for that. I was 17 at the time. So I applied for the job and I got it. So I was 17, that would have been 1979. I worked the summer and then I went back to get my grade 12, but I come in a fair often reading meters through the week because I had a light schedule at school. I would come in, read meters, do whatever with them. And then when I graduated, I turned 18 in February and I graduated, and then I was offered an apprenticeship. So that's when it started, was 1980.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fortunate.
Yeah.
Who you know, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was all. And Janet and Mr. Harper, I guess, talked. But I played hockey and Bill was coaching too then. And Johnny Harper was involved with the Rangers as well. So when I started working...
And just explain to people where the building was.
The building was right on 2nd Street back in the days where the Nipigon Inn was going. It was kitty corner to the post office. There was a vacant lot in the Nipigon Hydro office, which is now just a rental property as a house. That was our main office where the manager was, and you would pay your hydro bills right there. Across the street was the town office, and right behind the town office now where we're sitting almost, just back a little bit, was our warehouse. And our warehouse didn't even have running water in it, just power and little electric heaters. That was it.
Isn't it funny? I always thought that was the Town Works garage.
The Town Works garage was beside us. There was another old garage right there as well.
Two of them together.
Yeah.
Okay. So who was the manager then when you started?
The manager then was Mrs. Watson.
Okay.
Janet.
Right. Okay.
And Don Dorian would have still been on as a commission. Don and Ted probably.
We were just commenting that in those days the reeve was always on the commission, plus the manager and 2 elected residents from town. And it was often Don Dorian and Ted Nyman that were often elected there.
Yeah.
Right. So what kind of things, when your apprenticeship, you're following who around?
Initially it would have been Don Madaw was the foreman. And Glenn Lynch was the lineman as well. They were both linemen.
Right.
So I was apprenticing under them. Then Janet was in the office, and Mrs. She lived up on Sharon Leskinen. Mrs. Leskinen was also a helper. She'd come in part-time with Janet.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was the 3 of us.
Right.
Because Don Madaw replaced Charlie probably Sodergren in them days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Glenn was electrician in the mill, and then he came from there to Nipigon to work as a lineman. And then I came in full-time in 80.
So the Nipigon Hydro covered what area, Bill?
The Township of Nipigon from the plywood mill this way, all through Nipigon. Up on the highway, we went as far as where Doug Kashak lives now. Yeah. Used to be when Poirier lived there and all that. Almost to the Husky. We stopped at Forche's old house. Yeah. Bill Brand used to. We stopped there on that side, and across the street, we stopped at Boyle's.
Oh, okay.
Old house. That's as far as we went. All the rest going west was Hydro 1.
Okay.
Cameron Falls was Hydro 1, and we also used to do the reserve.
Okay.
We used to power the reserve until mid-80s. Mid to late 80s, I'm guessing. That's when Hydro 1, it was actually in their jurisdiction, so they took it over.
Okay.
And that was our small area.
Right.
Small area.
What kind of equipment? More than one truck?
We had a half-ton. It used to be a 4-door, and then we went to a regular cab. I don't know why, but we had that, and we had just a RBD, rigger boom derrick, which had adaptable bucket on it. You would take the bucket on and off by hand, basically. You'd use it for holes as well as that. And
right.
Yeah. Wow. Now we got newer ones eventually. But
right. You climbed poles then those days?
Yeah. There was lots of climbing. But like I say, small town, right? You know. But we did all our own too. We did the brushing, the change of meters. We would do the metering. If there was 3-phase metering to do, we did all that stuff. So it was a little variety of work. You know, we even did hot water tanks back in the day. Patch them up, change them out.
Right.
We did all it because it used to be rentals, right? Direct feed. You wouldn't even pay power. It'd be above the meter. And
right.
Yeah.
So it's thinking back now, so that it was Nipigon Hydro paid by the taxpayers of Nipigon then. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So
through your bills and whatnot.
Right. How do you think it evolved into Hydro One?
Well, Hydro One was going around, right? I believe in making offers to all the utilities to buy them up, in which they bought up a lot of them. When they first brought it to Nipigon, I believe the reeve then was
Wagler?
No, O'Neill. Larry Tanker.
Oh, Bill.
Yeah.
No, George O'Neill.
Or no, he might have been on council. Tanker. And Bruce Atkinson was the reeve. Because there was discussions. Bruce didn't want to sell, I don't believe. The rest agreed to sell. Because it was making profit for the town, right? And all us guys that worked there didn't want him to sell because we were scared of change, right?
Right.
But in hindsight, the best thing that ever happened, I know for myself, and I'm sure Sean and Hank too, because you went to a bigger place. We're still in Nipigon.
Right.
We learned a lot more because we did now high tension, like a bigger variety with the high tension, which means towers, big poles, 115,000 stuff, right down to just a big area, right? Learned a lot more, and it was really good, and there was a lot more money,
right,
as well. So
we were just one of many towns then that lost their.
Yeah.
Do you think there was a lot of controversy over should we, shouldn't we?
Well, yeah. Everybody thought you'd get worse service by going to a bigger, you know what I mean? Because everybody knows us in town, you just make a phone call, right?
Yes.
Now you had to start going through, it's like going through channels.
Make an appointment.
Make an appointment. It's not come here, because you're scheduled a lot more.
Right.
So it was still pretty good because we were still here and they still knew us, the people. And they would call me or any of the guys and they would go anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really made a big change then. So now let's see then, when that happened, about what year? Can you remember?
When we switched over, June 21st, 2001.
Was that? Isn't that funny? I thought it was going to be the 70s. That's how.
No, 21. I worked 21 years with Nipigon Hydro. And then the remaining 16 years, because I did 37 years, was with Hydro One.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Sean and Hank, they're still working.
Right. So Hank is still with Hydro here.
Yeah, he's a UTS-3, they're called now. Sean is an FLM, which is frontline manager.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, is there anybody else that would have worked there? Well, let's see. Glenn left before.
He went and trucking, actually, and then he went back to Hydro out of Scriber.
Okay, but where did Bill Brand come in?
Bill came in 1981. When Don left, Bill came in.
Oh, okay.
Bill bid on the job and got it. Glenn also bid on it, but they give it to Bill. He came in 81, February of 81.
Okay.
And he retired in 94 when he turned 65. He didn't want to retire. But it was mandatory back then, I believe.
Okay.
In October, because he was born, I think, October 13th, 29.
So then who took his place?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just lots of names that I recall, but I don't remember the order of them then. Wow, 2001.
Yeah. And Cal started in 82.
Okay.
When Janet left, then Cal came in 82.
Right.
Yeah.
And he stayed there until the end then.
Yeah, he got, when the package went through, us employees that were on the tools, we all went to Hydro One, kept our jobs.
Right.
I believe Cal, I'm not sure 100%, but they may have kept him on the payroll for a year when they shut down, just to
close off everything.
To close off and give him time to seek another job or whatever, whether he gets it before, I believe.
Right.
Something like, you'd ask him the exact stuff about that. But.
Yeah. Interesting, though, when you think that most people here, even though that's the 2000, people don't remember that there was the hydro here.
And Leslie was part-time in the office as well.
Right.
Leslie O'Connor.
Right.
Swanson, she married Swanson. And so I don't know how it worked with her, because she was just like part-time. Right. So I don't know what her deal was.
Right. It's a whole different thing now, working for a big company.
Yeah.
So now tell me some of your first memories of moving to that bigger company.
Well, when you first go over, I knew a lot of the guys from Thunder Bay. I'm sure Hank and Sean did as well, but I knew a lot of the guys like Robbie Coton, Zara, them, all those older guys, Doug Ray, Steadwall.
Oh, yes.
All those guys, Bill Jerome. So I knew lots of those guys. So when I went over, a lot of those guys had already retired, but I knew the younger guys too. So you're comfortable. You're always a little nervous because it's new. Right. You've never done a lot of the work they've done, so you're...
So really you were saying it's a bigger thing, so you were now learning more.
Yeah.
It's a whole new ball game, really.
Yeah. With the, like I say, the high tension, which are the towers, all the 115 lines, the 230 lines, a lot more equipment, like excavators, nod wells, buckets, off-road, on-road, bikes, skidoos, everything. You had access to everything.
So hydro was already in the building where they are now?
No, they purchased, or they rented that off with the old Bell building, right?
Right, the Bell.
They purchased that shortly after, probably in the fall, maybe, of 2001.
Okay. So where were they located before that?
Hydro One was never here. Years ago they were.
I see.
Years and years and years ago. I think they used to have a station down by where Mr. and Mrs. Dutill's old house on First. They used to have something there because Bill Brand's wife, she's a Peugeot, and her dad worked for Hydro, and I think he lived down there.
Oh, okay.
Bill had told me that.
Okay.
And Lorraine, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was a long time ago. That's the...
Yeah, and we just recently talked about the Bell when we interviewed Ryla, and he was talking about the Bell building. Yeah. Right, so Hydro owned that building now.
I think they used to rent it off of, I can't remember the owner's name or person. Now, I'm not sure if they purchased it now outright.
Okay.
If a lease come up or something, maybe I don't know. You'd have to ask. Sean would know. Yeah. Because he's the FLM there. He'd be dealing with things like that, right?
Yeah. Interesting that it turned out to be a big enough building.
Oh yeah.
For the Hydro to use after Bell had it.
You keep a lot of stock in there. They pull some trucks in. You got offices.
Right. So now, the group from here now, what area are they?
Our area goes, and I'm sure it's still the same, we'll go as far as Boker, just before Pearl.
Oh, yep. The Boker Road there.
Yeah, Boker Road. We'll do Superior Shores, all of Dorian, everything this way. We'll go up as far as McDermott.
Okay.
And we'll go as far as between Scriber and Terrace Bay. So it's a big area.
Right.
Lots of travel. Like when the power goes out, you know, in Scriber, you're at least an hour and...
Getting there.
Yeah.
Right.
Minimum hour. By the time you get the call from home, run down to the shop, grab your truck and go. Right. It's a big area.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and the high tension goes further. We could go to Gerald. We'll go wherever the power's out on the high tension.
Okay. Okay.
Because they're the big lines that go, say, from Cameron to Beardmore, Geraldton, Long Lac, or different circuits all over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you're talking about circuits. It's interesting to a person like me how the power can go out across the road, but it doesn't go out here.
Yeah.
It's in different phases.
There's 3 phases. Like you could have 3 wires running just like this in your back lane. 3 wires going down with a neutral below it. So say like this. 1 transformers for your house. 1 transformers for Atwell's.
Right.
1 transformers for Tanker. You know what I mean? So you get a bird go up, touch something, open a fuse on the transformer. So Tanker's out, but user's still on.
Oh,
whereas it can vary in so many different ways with power outages, right?
Right.
Tree could come down across all 3, everybody's out.
Right, right. So talking about trees online, is that one of the things you're responsible for?
Yeah.
Is checking on that type of thing as well?
Yeah. That's your biggest trouble most times. A lot of times is forestry, like the trees falling on lines from storms.
Right.
Does a lot.
Right. So that's why I see them being cut lots of times.
You have a lot of maintenance on the lines.
Maintenance, right, for sure.
Forestry, with Hydro One, Forestry does all the maintenance on that.
Right. And you're right, because they've come along and done lots of chipping, right?
Yeah.
They come regularly with their vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the guys from Quebec that Herman admires, because he uses a chainsaw with one hand.
Oh. Well, Hydro has all their own forestry crew.
Right.
Yeah.
But they came one time.
Oh, probably. If there's
Yeah.
big storms, you'll get companies, different utilities going to help out.
Right.
Like I went to Hurricane Wilma in 2006. For 3 weeks we were down there on that big storm.
Right.
There was lots. Yeah.
Right. So somebody makes a decision that your whole crew goes, or part of your crew would go?
Part of your crew. Typically what a lot of guys didn't agree with what happened was, I didn't agree with it either. It was your guys with the least overtime in your crew got asked to go first. I'm the opposite way. You should be taking the guys with the most overtime, the guys that answer their phone and volunteer to go out all the time.
Right. But we do see that when there's bad storms and people come from all over to work there.
Yeah.
So just give me a couple of examples of busy times or crisis times with the hydro. Like, so you must have really been on call when we've had the bad fires.
Yeah.
The people would be like the plywood mill would have been one.
Yeah.
That you were called.
Yeah, because that burnt in 2007, right? February of 2007. Yeah. And we just all you can do is shut the power off. Right? And there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
You can't get close to nothing.
Right. Same with the Normandy then.
Same with the Normandy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Make it safe, right?
Right.
For firemen, you shut the power off.
Right. So when do you get called to take out the power? What else kind of thing happens, Bill, where you're called to?
Could be car accidents, weather. There was 10 towers. Santoy Lake is just east of Jackfish, to say 12 miles past Terrace Bay. 10 big 230 towers. That's our biggest voltage around here, 230,000 volts. And 10 of those towers from that ice storm just collapsed.
I remember a couple of pictures somebody had of that. You're right.
Yeah.
So is it your job to put the towers back up, or you have a company that puts
No, we all went there, crews from everywhere.
Oh.
From all northwest Ontario, all the traveling crews out of Hydro One, which could have been like out of Barrie, Toronto, all those areas come up, the high tension crews, because then we built 2 lines on each side out of poles. Temporarily 2 pole lines, one on either side because it's double circuit. And then hydro construction came in later once everything was moved out and livened up. Then they built all the new towers in the middle and switched everything back.
Right again. Wow.
Yeah.
Big job when the power goes out. Big job.
But they're always well organized. Like, it actually goes pretty smooth. You know. Well, they know all their stuff.
She's telling me 2 minutes. But when I think of all the towers we have now around here, big time.
Yeah.
So even for you've seen the towers multiply big time in this area. Well,
with all the new road construction, there's lots of relocating the tower lines mostly. All the tower lines that are here have been here for many years. Same as the wood lines. What I call the wood line would run from Cameron Falls to Beardmore. That's all wood.
Right.
But there's wood or towers from Alexander to Terrace Bay, Scriber, Thunder Bay, lots. And then there's all the wood lines as well that come in from Cameron Falls as well into Nipigon, feeds Nipigon Red Rock.
Right. So the wood lines, you mean on the poles?
Yeah.
The wood poles. So those ones were being replaced there not too long ago.
They replaced a lot on Cameron Falls Road, a lot. They're building, it's the A6P circuit between where all the road construction is now up by Pass Lake.
Right.
Those are relocations for the highway construction. They're moving all that stuff. Okay. That's the reason for moving all those. But it's a lot of work still for them.
And one of the things when we went up the Cameron Falls Road, saw the metal pole.
They're fiberglass poles.
Fiberglass pole.
Metal there's some metal too, but fiberglass also.
Pretty interesting for the fiberglass. Yeah. So what do you think of the life of a fiberglass compared to wood?
Oh, probably much longer. They're newer. Like, I hate to say how many years they've been out now because time flies, but at least the woodpeckers don't get at them because that's a big you'll
thing.
Set a new pole, you'll come back in a week and there'll be big holes in it from the woodpeckers.
Incredible. But the fiberglass was interesting, and I was surprised how heavy and how thick
They're fairly thick, yeah.
Yeah, that fiberglass pole was. So new technology all the time.
The only thing is you either need a bucket to get up there, or some I think had peg holes. You could put pegs in maybe to climb them.
Okay.
But either that or
You're
a machine.
right. You got to have the buckets then for that type of thing.
But buckets too have come a long way. They're used quite regularly now all the time.
Right. And Herman always admires that idea that the buckets are so convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So about how many employees would there be in the Nipigon?
Now?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Sean's the FLM, but Sean takes care of Nipigon Geraldton Marathon, but his headquarters is here.
That's Sean Mahoney.
Yeah, Sean Mahoney. Now the UTS2 is Curtis Thompson.
Okay.
He's Nipigon from Lake Helen originally, born and raised. And Hank is a 3, Hank Wita. John Clark is a regional RLM, regional line maintainer, like a journeyman. Cole Clearwater was working here, but he got injured with at Landon's party with his neck when they were swimming. So he's
Cole Saunders.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. He hasn't got back to it, I guess.
I'm not sure the status of.
I forgot about him working out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
And there is a friend of mine, Frank Hardman. His son is up here from down east working right now. His name is Jake Hardman. What's his name? Dark hair, really good lineman, good kid too. They're all new. I forget their names. Okay. He sleds up here a lot with hangs around with everybody.
Okay.
So they got probably, excluding Sean, I guess 6-7 guys maybe.
Oh, okay.
So they got a good complement of guys for work.
Right. But when there's something going on, there's busy.
Half that crew could be working out of Beardmore, say with the Geraldton crew, they'll mix crews to work on the high tension.
Okay.
So they'll come in, they'll strictly go to that job. Other guys will go do distribution work, like hooking up customers on a new house build or taking care of trouble if there's trouble, maintenance and stuff.
So is there also a company that sort of does hydro work as well? Because we used to get the lights done. By somebody else, right? That come and did the lights, right?
Hydro One got out of that.
Okay.
They didn't want to do that.
So it's a separate company.
Yeah. Even now, Hydro One is contracting out lots of work. You'll notice, like Forbes.
Oh,
they were in town for a long time. Right. They were working on the A6P, the wood line. They restrung, I believe, the A7L, which is tower line. And you'll see lots of them working.
And that job here. Just now behind the museum.
Well, that's a contractor. That's just electrical contractor.
Oh, I see.
That's Sam Kluche and Ian Brennan's son is an apprentice.
They had a great big crane there last week.
Maybe Jimmy's, was it? Dampier's?
No, it was proper hydro crane up there. But anyways, somebody just said it was contract. So I see. Yeah. So they contract.
And Ballard is doing work apparently too on Hydro One's equipment as well. I heard they were doing PCB testing transformers for PCBs. And stuff where they didn't do, when we were still working, there was hardly any contracted work out. Now there's quite a bit.
Right.
So, getting caught up and everything, I guess.
Yes, right. Big job for sure. Yeah. So now you've been retired how long?
7 years. Next week, or the end of the month, 7 years.
Oh,
because my birthday's this Friday and I'll be, 62. Yes, I retired at 55. So it'll be 7 years.
7 years already.
Yeah, and it flies by.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were busy on new enterprises after hydro.
Yeah, I didn't do much. I stay at camp all the time.
Right.
Joanne does. We have the husky. Well, she does. I just plow the odd time and do a little bit of garbage run. That's it.
Right. And you're still at the husky.
Yeah, Joanne's still there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. It was
perfect.
Just interesting because I wanted people to know that we did have a hydro here at one time. And Bill and I were just reading a letter written by somebody about hydro, saying that it really came to Nipigon 1924.
25 or 24 looks
24,
like.
That the juice was.
Somebody will know. Yeah, somebody's going to know. I'm sure in hydro's records they would have.
So I'll have to follow that up a little bit with this letter to hydro. But anyway, thanks very much, Bill.
Perfect.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.